Welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Surwick here again with Mike Meredith. Mike, it is a new year. We had a lot go on this New Year's weekend, man. But how are you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. It was a good week. Hopefully everyone stayed safe out there for the holidays. But now it's time to get back to work, man.
Yes, sir. Get back to work, indeed. We certainly will be. And so let's get right into it with the NFL this weekend. We had quite a bit of controversy, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. But we'll start with Thursday night football. The Browns and the Jets faced off in Cleveland. The Browns getting a win, 37-20. This was a game where obviously I think everyone expected the Browns to win. Joe Flacco, again, incredible game, 19 for 29, 309 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's been looking absolutely incredible this entire season since he came in to play for Cleveland. He also threw a pick in this game, but it didn't really matter. The Browns defense did a great job, obviously, against a very bad New York Jets team, but overall, very, very nice win for Cleveland here. And they improved themselves to 11-5.
Yes, sir. Cleveland looking like a kind of a legit team. I mean, I liked Cleveland and thought they'd be at least above average, but they're legit looking like a top team with like Kansas City falling apart and some other teams in the AFC not doing as well. Browns have really stepped it up, and Flacco has shown that he can actually legit be a pretty good backup.
Yeah, no, coming off the bench, and I don't think he's thrown for under 300 yards since he's been playing as a starter, which is just insane, given one his age, and two just how little he started over the last few years. But yeah, man, the Browns looking like a legitimate team heading into the playoffs, which is 1 or 2 weeks away. And then we had one game Saturday, and this is where the controversy is.
Yeah.
The Cowboys and hosted the Lions. The Cowboys winning it 20-19. The controversy. Lions go for two. Taylor Decker scores the 2 point. He reported to the ref. The ref completely ignored it.
Basically just said "fuck y'all."
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like it today. Like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm good.
Yeah, the league once again screwing over the Lions as they always do. Um, but then Dan Campbell decided no, we're still gonna go for two from the 8 yard line. So that made no sense because it is your win probability when going for it on the 2 yard line was like a 2% chance. At the analytics were saying it was about a 2% chance to win the game. It was negative 13% going for two from the 8 yard line, and then they went for it again because there was a penalty from the 4 yard line, which was still a negative 6% chance at winning the game. And so, look, did the Lions get screwed by Brad Allen and the league? Yes. Is and the league is blaming Dan Campbell for it, blaming the Lions for it. Even though Dan told the refs that this play was going to be happening earlier or before the game even started, and Taylor Decker checked in, and yet they just completely ignored it. But at that point, you just kick the fucking extra point and take this thing to overtime. We take this to overtime. I think the Lions win that game in overtime. I know the overtime rules suck, and you want to avoid overtime in this league as much as you possibly can, but at that point, man, you just play for overtime and hope you can win there because going for two from the 8 yard line and also from the 4 yard line, it just makes no fucking sense, especially when you have a 15% swing to lose that game. It's just not worth the risk. But the Lions walk away 20-19. I honestly, man, Even with the loss, it feels like the
Yeah,
Lions won that game, in my
it does.
opinion, because the Lions are a threat to anyone in the playoffs. I honestly think we the Lions can make it to the NFC Championship game, where they're gonna probably face San Francisco and lose. But still, man, they have a legitimate chance at winning, at least getting to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, man, that was definitely like even though the Lions lost the game, they came out as winners, and Dallas looked like shit, and Detroit looked good, and um, all I gotta say, man, is they gotta change some shit, man, because fucking you cannot have shit like that happening. In my opinion, this is just me. Like I said, I'm not someone who makes the rules, but Decker, in my opinion, shouldn't even have to go and fucking tell the refs that he's reporting. It should be a coaching thing. Campbell should be able to tell the refs before the play, and he already did, like he talked about in the post game that that they were going to run this play and that Decker was going to be eligible. Like it should be on Campbell to tell the refs that Decker's going to be eligible because you could tell that Decker, he went up there and he told, but he didn't want to make it too obvious. It's not like he's going to announce to the whole stadium that he's going to catch the ball. Just dumb, man. Like, and I know there was other plays that the Lions could have, you know, had other opportunities to win this game, and I agree with you, man. That I respect Campbell going for two on all those chances, but analytically, after they got screwed after the first one, they probably should just kick the field goal, or kick the extra point. But I will say that them going for it, he definitely has the guys thinking that I trust in you guys, I believe in you guys, and I hope that they just use this as fuel moving forward into the playoffs. And it's like, okay, you guys want to fuck with us again? Fuck you. We're gonna take this shit and we're gonna run with it.
Well, he trusts everyone but his kicker. That's for fucking sure, man. It's just kicking an extra fucking point. It's not that fucking hard. I'm pretty sure we got a guy who can do that. But yeah, a lot of controversy, of course. Jerry Jones, probably paid off those refs, and
Jerry
yeah,
Jones the faggot.
yeah, fuck Jerry Jones. So moving on to Sunday, the Ravens hosted the Dolphins, and boy, the Ravens won huge, winning 56-19. This was a game I thought would be pretty close, but Baltimore at home, and we know Miami on the road hasn't really been all that spectacular. Lamar Jackson, 18 for 21, 321 yards, 5 touchdown passes, as well as a touchdown on using his feet. Zay Flowers had a really good game, 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Tua, he had a pretty decent day outside of those 2 interceptions that he threw, but it didn't really matter. Their defense could not stop Baltimore, and Baltimore gets a massive win.
Baltimore coming out looking like the best team here. Secured that number one seed. Lamar Jackson pretty much secured MVP with that game. It's looking good for Baltimore right now, but you know that they have had their playoff struggles, so we'll see how they do moving forward. But um, yeah, they capped off pretty much an A+ season, at least for the regular season.
Yeah, no, it's an A+ season. Next week, just don't start at any of your starters.
Yeah.
If I'm them, I'm not playing anyone this week. I'm playing all my
Mm-hmm.
second and third string guys. The Bills hosted the Patriots, winning 27-21. This was a game where I thought for sure the Bills would get a nice blowout win. New England's horrible. Um, that said, though, it was a nice start to the game for New England with a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Um, that really did help them in this game. I feel like just a little bit, at least to start the game. Josh Allen did not look very good in this game. 15 for 30 and 169 yards and a pick. No touchdowns thrown. Bailey Zappi throwing 3 picks in this game. Just both offenses did not look really all too great. Um, but Buffalo in the end able to just get enough uh, points in this game. It was a race to 20 basically, and Buffalo won.
Yeah, it was a tough game for them. I know they're probably trying to get going at the end of the year, and they did get the win, but that was definitely a tough one. They lost to New England earlier in the year too, so they almost lost both games in New England this year. But um, hopefully they can figure it out, and I'm pretty sure next week's games for the AFC East championship. So
Yeah, next I believe you're right about that.
if they win, then they can
Yeah,
take Miami.
yeah. Um, but Miami's gonna have to win as well if they want to have their own chance. Uh, the Bears hosted the Falcons. Chicago getting a nice win here, 37-17. Um, Justin Fields played a pretty decent game, 268 yards passing. Uh, Taylor Heineke on the other end for Atlanta, 3 interceptions. It's just an abysmal day for him. Bijan getting involved, but only getting 75 yards on 15 touches. Um, but Khalil Herbert had a really good game for Chicago, racking up 124 yards on the ground. Just looked really solid for Chicago, and their defense played very well, surprisingly. And Chicago getting themselves closer to that 500 number.
Yeah, Chicago. They might pass Minnesota here for third in the division, and Chicago, man, they had an opportunity though to get 2 picks in the top 10. The first pick they've already secured with the Panthers being so bad, and no, they could have had another top pick here, but instead they won all these games at the end. Maybe they feel more comfortable now with their team moving forward, but definitely tough, man, because they ain't going to be going anywhere.
Yeah, it's really tough for sure. The Colts hosted the Raiders. Colts just narrowly winning here, 23-20. Um, there was a late touchdown from Las Vegas with less than a minute to go, but the Colts held on. Gardner Minshew had an okay day, throwing for 224 yards on 23 passes. Aiden O'Connell had a pretty decent game as well for Vegas, throwing for 2 touchdowns in this one. Jonathan Taylor, though, big game for him, just shy of 100 yards and ran for a touchdown. Indianapolis, I thought for sure would just blow out Vegas because Vegas has been pretty abysmal, really all season. But Indy getting a win here, still fighting for a playoff spot.
Yep. So that AFC South here looking like it's going to come down to the end with the Colts, Texans, and the Jaguars here.
Yeah, all three of them winning, all three of them tied on record right now. It's really going to be tight. It's going to be really interesting to see what exactly happens this weekend with that. The Jaguars, speaking of them, they shut out the Panthers 26-0. The Keebler Elf threw 19 for 32, 112 yards for Carolina. Did not look good at all. CJ Beathard was in for Jacksonville, throwing for 178 yards. Travis Etienne Jr. was really the heart of this offense, with over 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, just very good overall game for Jacksonville. They weren't able to move the ball much in the first half. Obviously, they scored 9 points all on field goals. And then they opened up in the second half a little bit better, but nice win for Jacksonville. They moved themselves up to 9-7, keeping themselves somewhat on top of this division right now.
Yeah, the most exciting thing that came out of this game was the Panthers owner throwing his drink on someone and getting fined $300,000.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking funny. I'm not even gonna lie, man. Houston hosted Tennessee. Houston winning 26-3. CJ Stroud was back, and he looked pretty damn solid. 24 for 32, 213 yards and a touchdown. Ryan Tannehill looked absolutely horrible for Tennessee, going 16 for 20, 168 yards. But man, just that offense just could not do anything against this Houston defense. Derrick Henry, 12 carries and only 42 yards. It's sad to see. You just hate to see it for them. But Nico Collins, really, really solid game for him. No touchdowns for him, but overall it was a good day for Houston, getting a nice win and also keeping themselves in this AFC South title fight.
Yep, they keeping themselves in it. CJ Stroud looked good, and the Titans, man, they got to rebuild. They look just awful.
Yeah, just the clear obvious shitbag of the fucking AFC South right now. We all thought for sure this would just be Jacksonville and Indy and Houston would be fighting for that second and third spot, but here they are, going into the last week of season, a three-way tie at the top. Incredible how poor these rosters are for both Indy and Houston, and just how well they're doing so far this year. The Giants hosted the Rams. Giants got within. The Giants went for two, I believe, to try and win this game at the end, but they ended up missing here. But the Giants lost 25-26. Matt Stafford looked pretty good. He did throw a couple picks in this game, but overall, still very, very good game. Puka Nacua had a solid game receiving for the Rams. I'm just surprised that the Rams defense just failed that miserably to allow even the Giants to be this close to winning the game.
Yeah, Giants really had nothing to lose going for it. Rams, though, it's looking like the Rams and the Lions are going to face, man. It's looking more and more like it, man.
Yeah, every fucking week it looks more and more likely. The Eagles hosted the Cardinals, and the Eagles get very upset in this game. Cardinals win 35-31. Look, I don't know what the hell's going on in Philly, man, but look, you can't be having a guy who can't even ride any of the rides at Cedar Point. Pat, looking solid against your fucking defense. Just Philly has broken down completely these last couple weeks, man. Jalen Hurts did not look all too solid or all too well this week. 167 yards and a pick, three touchdown passes, but I don't know what the fuck is going on in Philly right now, but something's got to change fast before the playoffs. But you just hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. It really irritated me that Philly lost because, I mean, probably my two least favorite teams right now are Philly and Dallas. Dallas gets the fucking win over Detroit off of the bullshit, and then Philly loses. So now does Dallas have the division lead now? I think they both got the same record now or something.
I believe Philly has the tiebreaker right now still.
Okay. Yeah, but still, it's like y'all really gave Dallas that chance, man. Y'all lost to Arizona. Y'all couldn't beat Arizona, bro.
It's sad, man.
Y'all to take Arizona in the points, and they just won outright. So, crazy.
Yeah, it was stupid. The Bucks hosted the Saints. Saints getting a nice win here, 23-13. Baker coming into this game was hot, and this Tampa Bay offense was just on fire. And they kind of just laid an egg this week. Baker had 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, but he threw 2 interceptions in this game. The run offense could not get anything going, and Tampa Bay's defense just couldn't stop what New Orleans was doing, and they weren't doing a whole lot either. It was a lot of dink and dunk passing for Derek Carr, and somehow, some way, New Orleans found a way to win this game. and they're back into both these teams are now tied for this division going into next week.
Yeah, again, I get the teams have bad games, and this was definitely the team this week that really shit the bed compared to how they usually do. But um, man, Tampa, this was your chance to lock up the division. You beat New Orleans, and that shit was basically locked up. But now I gotta wait to the end of the year here to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, they got a lot of waiting to do, and man, it's not gonna be good. Especially if they lose next week and the Saints win. I mean, yeah. The Commanders hosted the 49ers. The Niners winning 27 to 10. Um, in my honest opinion, San Francisco should have blown the shit out of Washington. You win by 17 points. That is technically a blowout in the NFL if you win by 14. Um, just because of how tight the NFL really is. Brock Purdy had a decent day. He's still a fraud as always, but overall, just a good win for San Francisco against a pretty abysmal Commanders team.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the prettiest win. They were definitely close throughout most of the game, but 49ers pulled it out, and there was a video, of course, of them watching the Eagles lose, which made them secure the number one seed. So they got that to look forward to at least for this week.
Yeah, they definitely do. The Seahawks hosted the Steelers. Steelers getting a win here, 30 to 23. Um, this was a big upset, but Geno Smith had a pretty solid game for Seattle. Um, but really, what won this game for Pittsburgh was that run offense, man. Najee Harris, 27 carries, 122 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, looking really solid. And their defense was able to at least keep them in it. There were times where I thought Seattle was just gonna drive down the field, and they were looking really good, and then just suddenly the Pittsburgh defense just comes up with a huge stop and forces either a field goal or a punt from Seattle, and yeah, just a good win for Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, Pittsburgh continues to keep winning, and I think they have a must-win game this next week against Baltimore, who's probably going to rest their players. So they're rolling with Mason Rudolph. They've been winning games with him, so Kenny Pickett's a fraud too. So I'm not too shocked, but they got to figure out the QB situation moving forward.
Yeah, that is for sure if they want to have any chance in the playoffs. The Chiefs hosted the Bengals. Chiefs getting a 25 to 17 win here. This was a close game, like I thought it would be. Like I said, man, last week when we previewed this game, if this was in Kansas or if this was in Cincinnati, I would have picked Cincinnati to win this game. And it looked really promising up until about the last few minutes of the first half, and Cincinnati went into halftime with a 17-13 lead after being up 17-7 midway through the second quarter, and then from there it was just a lot of field goals for Kansas City. Their offense couldn't do much once they got into plus territory. But Cincinnati just ended up shitting the bed in this game, and that's really what cost them.
Yeah, that was definitely tough. But KC again can't score. The receivers are still dropping passes. They need to revamp everyone in the wide receiver group for next season.
Yeah, they definitely need to revamp that receiver room desperately. The Broncos hosted the Chargers. Broncos getting a win here, 16-9. This was our shit bowl of the week because you had Stidham in at quarterback because the Broncos are obviously benching Russ for the rest of the year. And then obviously Justin Herbert's still dead for LA. I think if Justin Herbert was in this game, man. I feel like LA could have won this game because I feel like Denver just has given up on the season. Um, I get they don't want to pay Russ, man, but I don't know what the fuck's going on in Denver. I really don't. But Denver gets a nice win here, anyways.
Yeah, they get a nice win. Not really a good game. Still think Denver missed the playoffs, and they're basically parting with Russ here. So
Yeah. And then lastly, Sunday Night Football, we had Minnesota hosting Green Bay. Green Bay getting a huge win here, 33-10. Jordan Love looked really, really, really good in this game. 24 for 33, 3 touchdowns, 256 yards. Just absolutely incredible. Aaron Jones had 120 yards on the ground. Um, and this Green Bay defense looked really solid against a fledgling Minnesota offense.
yeah, Green Bay just destroyed them. Minnesota fell incredibly hard this year, and man, they were so lucky last year. Basically, came back the other way around this year and really dealt with the injury bug, and their season's basically over now.
Yeah, they're pretty much dead in the water. They're sitting 7-9. They're not making the playoffs. So that's gonna do it though for your NFL action this weekend. We're gonna head on over to the NFL Power Rankings now. We got for the first time in the top 10 this season. At number 10, you got the LA Rams. Good win, obviously. Should have won by a lot more. It is New York, but they get themselves a win. They're in the playoffs as of right now. Another win really secures that spot for them. Actually, no, they did secure a playoff spot with this win. The Rams looking really, solid as of lately. A couple shaky games here and there, but overall, having a pretty damn good year. Top 10, I don't know. You could argue a couple of the teams below them could be there, but 10, I'm not too mad about that.
Yeah, I think 10's fine. Again, they're like in the 8 to 12 range. I think they're going to finish as the sixth seed in the NFC. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think they're either gonna have the 6 or the 7 seed coming into after next week. We'll just have to wait and see. Dropping 5 spots out of the top 5 to number 9 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, you lost to Arizona. Yeah, enough said. You're still a top 10 team, I think, but something's got to change, and something's got to change really fast because you just lost to a guy who can't ride any of the rides at Cedar Point. He's not a very accurate passer because he's short and can't see anything, and your offense just can't do a whole lot. It is against a really bad defense. You should have blown out the Cardinals, man. Just yeah.
Yeah, that was really bad. And now Philly fans and Detroit fans have something in common. We both hate Matt Patricia pretty much equally now. Matt Patricia's fucking up this team. And I've been seeing reports, too, that Nick Sirianni, if they really fuck up big time in the playoffs, he might be gone, too, because, they got the talent on that team. They're just really struggling right now.
Yeah, Matt Patricia does everything he possibly can to destroy every team that he coaches at this point. I don't know what it is, but yeah. Moving up one spot to number 8 is the Kansas City Chiefs. A solid win over Cincinnati this weekend. The offense just kept stalling out once they got into plus territory. A lot of drop passes in this game, of course. But right now, man, that offense needs to figure out something to generate yards and also figure out what's going on in plus territory because they're one of the worst offenses in opposing team territory this year. So they got to figure that out. And once they do, they can win these games with big margins. But something's got to change offensively. The defense is really good. It's just their offense, man, struggling a lot this year.
Yeah, that offense is struggling big time. They got to figure out how to, keep putting points up and stay consistent.
Yeah, moving up one spot to number 7 is the Cleveland Browns. Another nice win. Joe Flacco looks like an elite, quarterback, which is odd to say for his age and how little he's been playing the last few years. But very good spot for Cleveland here. And they're playing very well. Just Joe Flacco's got to loosen up with these or tighten up with these interceptions, man, because he's thrown a pick in at least one pick in every single game he's played so far.
Yeah, definitely has to tighten it up, but he's been good, like I said, for coming in so late in the year as a third string quarterback, because he had Watson, then DTR, and then now it's Flacco. So for coming in and doing what he's doing, I mean, he's definitely holding it down better than most.
Yeah, he's doing a really solid job. Moving up one spot as well to number 6 is the Buffalo Bills. It was not a pretty win this week, but it's a win over New England. Yeah, man, they've been a very solid team. I like them here at 6.
Yeah, I think that they are a solid 6. I could maybe see Cleveland above them right now, but they definitely, even though they struggled this week, they got the W, and if they can win next week against Miami, that's the big game right there for the division title.
Yeah, but it is at home for Miami. Well, we'll talk about it, but yeah, I could argue Cleveland ahead of them as well. Staying at number 5 is the Detroit Lions.
Nah.
Look, they proved that they're better than the Cowboys.
They're better than Dallas.
They are better than Dallas, but
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, again, did you watch the game? Detroit outplayed them. Their defense outplayed them. The only thing that Dallas had all game was CeeDee Lamb. He was the only one doing anything. They, the Lions outplayed them. I don't care that Dallas beat them head to head. Lions beat them. So Lions were the better team. They should be above Dallas.
No, they really were the better team. They were the only team to hold Dallas to 20 points or less at home this year. It was some self-inflicted mistakes on the Lions' part. Campbell should have gone for a field goal in the second quarter when he didn't. You go for that. You don't even have that situation at the end of the game where you need to go for 2 because you would have had the lead even if you missed the extra point. There's a lot of self-inflicted errors on Detroit that prevented them from losing this game, but ultimately the league did still screw the Lions. But you can't put it all on that one play when there's other things the Lions could have done to win that game as well. But yeah, I agree. They're better than the Cowboys, who are at number 3, and we'll get there in a minute. Dropping down one spot to number 4 is the Miami Dolphins. Obviously they got embarrassed by a really good good team in Baltimore. Obviously, I think Baltimore's the best team in football right now. I really do. I think they're better than San Francisco. That said, Miami, they're still a really good team, man. But on the road, they got to figure some things out. And then their defense, man, they really need to figure some stuff out. Because you can't be doing that in the playoffs, allowing teams to run it up on you like that.
Yeah, they just got to figure it out, and you can't. I mean, Baltimore's tough and was definitely the better team, but you can't lose that bad.
No, you can't lose that bad at all. Moving up 3 spots to number 3 is Dallas. Um, I disagree here, putting them at 3. I think the Lions are clearly the better team. Um, they got lucky with the penalties. Basically, they got Dallas here at number 3 because Jerry Jones paid off the ref. Look, they're still a really good team. Don't get me wrong. Um, I just don't think that they're better than the Lions right now. Better than Miami, yes. Better than the Lions, no.
Yep, move Miami down, move Dallas down, move Detroit up to 3.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Detroit's been playing really, really solid football. They got really nothing to play for at this point, but yeah, man. And then number 2 and number 1 stayed the same. You got Niners at 2 and the Ravens at 1. Um, the Ravens obviously best team in football right now. Niners secure their fucking uh, 1 seed, so they have home advantage for the entire playoffs. Um, but San Francisco, obviously, I like them. Their defense is really, really good, but it's a it's just a nice. They're just having a really nice season, man.
Yeah, they are the best 2 teams. My Super Bowl prediction, definitely those 2 are the favorites right now, and yeah, they were number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, that is for sure. So that is gonna do it for us for the NFL. So we're gonna move on now to college football. Um, we had a really, really nice New Year's weekend for college football here. Obviously, yesterday we had some really, really big games that we'll talk about. But first, we're going to get into all the other games that we didn't talk about, starting with the Thursday games. We had Boston College beat number 24 SMU in the Sabi Fenway Bowl, 23-14. Look, we're just gonna roll through these games real quick because there wasn't a whole lot to talk about, especially because a lot of these games didn't have anyone really playing in them, so you can't really take a whole lot from them. Miami and Rutgers faced off in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. Rutgers getting the win, 31-24. I told you Mario Cristobal was gonna find a way to lose this game, and he did. He did find a way to lose this game. So, yeah, man, I'm happy for Rutgers because they actually had a decent season this year, and then they get a nice bowl win. Kansas State beat NC State in the Pop Tarts Bowl, 28-19. Kansas State linemen wanted the Pop Tarts more, so congrats to them on that one. The Valero Alamo Bowl, we had Arizona and Oklahoma face off. Arizona getting the win, 38-24. This was a fun game to watch. I watched some highlights of it. Just some exciting, explosive plays with a lot of these, Arizona had their starting quarterback, so that definitely helped them in this game. But their defense had a lot of starters sitting out, so that's why Oklahoma was at least able to somewhat keep it close. Friday, we had Kentucky and Clemson play in the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. Clemson getting the win 38-35. Notre Dame beat the shit out of Oregon State 40-8 in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Obviously, Oregon State didn't have their head coach, didn't have any quarterback playing. Just that program's in complete disarray now, especially because the Pac-12 is dead. Memphis beat Iowa State in an upset game here in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, 36-26. I saw some people they made some bets on Iowa State, and yeah, they're not too happy with how their coach handled playing this game at all. They really lost this game on themselves. And then the Cotton Bowl, we had number 9 Missouri and number 7 Ohio State face off. Missouri getting the win 14-3. I know the Ohio State receivers were playing in this game, but they had no starting quarterback. I don't think their starting running backs were in this game. Their defense was completely depleted. Missouri, really the same situation. Not a lot of starters in this game for them, so but a nice win over Ohio State. And then Saturday, we had 4 games. We had Penn State and Ole Miss face off in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Uh, Ole Miss winning 38-25. Uh, Maryland beat Auburn pretty handedly in the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, 31-13. Toledo and Wyoming facing off in the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. Wyoming just sneaking away with a win here, 16-15. Last second field goal for Wyoming to win this game. And then lastly on Saturday we had Florida State and Georgia face off in the Capital One Orange Bowl, and Georgia just kept shooting the already dead body of Florida State.
Yeah.
Georgia winning
Yeah.
63-3. It
The
was
one game that I want to chime in on when you're done,
yeah. Go ahead.
man, freaking Florida State, man. What the fuck was I thinking, bro? I thought they'd come out, at least keep it somewhat competitive, cover the spread, show the committee that they were worth putting in. Committee's never gonna put in a team that is fucked up again, man. They got their evidence, and yeah, that shit's never happening again. It's gonna be SEC, Big Ten, um, all throughout now. But I mean, now they're moving to 12 teams, but still, uh, Florida State
Yeah,
basically proved that shit was never gonna happen.
yeah. No, and look, they were down 8 starters on offense, using a third string quarterback. I mean, it was the defense obviously had no one playing either, but Georgia just came out and they killed Florida State and then decided to just keep shooting the dead body over and over and over. And I was like, are they gonna just like stop playing? Is Georgia gonna stop trying? Nope, they just kept fucking going, getting a nice big win here. But yeah, no. Even if Florida State was in the playoffs, we would have seen a very similar result against Michigan, just because Florida State's so bad. And then lastly, yesterday we had 5 bowl games. New Year's Day. We had LSU and Wisconsin face off in the ReliaQuest Bowl. LSU winning 35-31. I thought Wisconsin for just a moment could win this game. They went into the fourth quarter with a lead. And you know they were getting all the stops against LSU when they needed them, and then the defense just gave up at the end, and the offense just could not respond at all. LSU getting a nice win there. The Verbo Fiesta Bowl, we had Oregon face off with Liberty. Oregon proving to everyone that Liberty is frauds, winning 45-6 in this game. Bo Nix looked absolutely incredible in this game. 363 yards, 5 touchdowns. Liberty, I know they had a lot of starters in this game, along with Oregon, and yeah, everyone knew this was going to happen. Liberty getting absolutely destroyed. And then we had an embarrassing game for Iowa in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Tennessee whooping the shit out of them, 35-0. Yeah, Iowa's offense absolutely terrible, and they had a lot of starters in. Their defense couldn't stop Tennessee either, and yeah. So now into the games that actually mattered for bowl season. We had the Rose Bowl. Number 1 Michigan versus number 4 Bama. Michigan came into this game a 2-point favorite. And this was an all-time classic game. Defenses were the key here. Lot of screw ups for Michigan on special teams. A lot of muffed punts. I feel like you eliminate those, Michigan wins this game handedly. The first muff punt that put Alabama on the scoreboard, but Michigan was able to respond to it. And then the last drive to win or to tie the game for Michigan, um, with huge throws by J.J. McCarthy. Blake Corum obviously had a nice big pickup, but Roman Wilson kind of set them back 15 yards after it for a illegal block in the back. But Roman Wilson more than made up for it on that drive with a huge grab, and then obviously the game tying touchdown after that. And then in overtime, it was obviously a huge run for Blake Corum to put them ahead, and then Bama just chaos ensued on their last attempt to score a touchdown. Low snap, which they had been dealing with all day. Really all season. Their center's just absolutely terrible for Alabama. But then Milroe just kind of it was supposed to be an RPO play, and he just ran right into the middle of the pile, which I don't know what he was doing. But Michigan getting the win, 27-20 in overtime. The defense for Michigan had 5 sacks by 5 different players in the first half against Alabama. Michigan's defense was just elite all game long, and they are going to beat the piss out of Washington next weekend.
Michigan won the game up front, man. That's where they dominated, and that's how they got this win. Like you said, the sacks and just playing more physical up front. The offense definitely needs to, get some things in check. McCarthy did not have the best game. Roman Wilson and Blake Corum both did their thing when they could. Corum especially, man, that clutch run when OT happened. But yeah, man, Michigan won this game from that D line, man, and being physical up front. And I saw so many people today talking about how Alabama, that last play, man, the center was struggling all game, snapping the ball and throwing it over and throwing it under. Bad snap, but still, Milroe, I think we all knew he was going to run it, and he just ran right into nothing. So Michigan, they finally break that. I don't know if I should say curse, but just that notion that they couldn't win the CFP.
Yeah, Michigan won this game up front, defensively especially, just all day long, just able to disrupt this Alabama offensive line, who isn't really that good to begin with, but Michigan's defense showed everyone that this team can win the Natty. And then lastly, in the All-State Sugar Bowl, we had Washington and Texas face off. Washington holding on 37-31. Very, very nice defensive play at the very end of the game for Washington. This could have been a game where Texas should have won this game had their offense woken up earlier in the fourth quarter, because Texas's defense was able to finally start stopping Washington and Michael Penix Jr. Because they were getting a lot of pressure on him towards the end of the game, and if the defense or if the offense would have done some stuff really in the third quarter and early on in the fourth quarter, I feel like Texas could have won this game for sure. But Washington gets the win here. Michael Penix, 29 for 38, 430 yards. That's I believe that is the second most in the Sugar Bowl history. But big shout out to Quinn Ewers, who had a really big game. But there were a lot of turnovers that Texas had that, just dropping the ball, that really prevented them also from winning this game. Self-inflicted mistakes for sure, but Washington will face off with Michigan, and we will preview that in very big depth on Thursday's episode.
Yeah, it was a good game, man. I actually didn't see the second half of this game. I only saw the highlights, and Texas had a chance there at the end. Basically had a full drive. Couldn't get it to go. Sad, though, for my Texas fans. I know they were going through it, man. This one person who I follow, he's big Texas fan, and she was going through it, man, at the game and everything. They were going through it, man. But Washington, man, they've been held as underdogs a lot this year, and that's what scares me against Michigan because they're underdogs again. And every time they've been underdogs this year, they've won the game outright. So Michigan's got to hold their own and dominate up front like they did against Alabama.
Look, we'll get into this more, but man, I really think Michigan's gonna knock the shit out of Washington in this game because Michigan's defense proved they are as elite as you can get. Um, in this game, I mean, they proved to everyone, all the doubters, that defense showed up. Michigan's gonna do everything offensively that they need to against Washington's defense, which is not good either. So, um, I feel like Michigan matches up really, really well against Washington. I'd be a little bit nervous if they had to play Texas, but I feel like Michigan will match up very, very well with Washington. But we'll get more into that on Thursday's episode. So that's going to do it for us. But real quickly, the World Juniors for hockey's on right now. That's been going on over the last few days. Canada got upset by Czechia earlier this morning with a goal by Czechia with about 11 seconds left, and then the U.S. beat Latvia. So now we have we're coming into the final stretch of this tournament. We got 3 teams left. We got Germany and Norway facing off on Thursday, along with Sweden and Czechia are playing, and then the U.S. will face off with Finland, who's looking really, really hot right now. But the U.S. is the best team in the tournament right now. I mean, they're blowing out teams left and right. So, I'll keep an eye on the World Juniors for us. The Red Wings, for our local people, they have 5 players in this tournament, all on different teams, but all our players are actually looking fairly solid in this game or in this tournament for us. But yeah, man. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. Rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Thursday, we're obviously gonna preview final week of the NFL regular season, college football. We'll talk about obviously the national title game between Washington and Michigan in big, big detail. And we'll also do a bunch of NBA and NHL. We'll do some power rankings, I believe, for those. And then starting next week, obviously, because college football is going to be done and over with after Tuesday, we're going to open up a lot more talk about NHL and the NBA. And because we're getting closer towards the end of the season, we're going to get some college hoops in as well once, obviously, we get a little bit closer to March Madness. But that's going to do it for us. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Thursday.